So, hello everybody. I'm glad that you guys can make it, could be here. This is BlackDVM Network's November webinar. So we host monthly webinars, and we try to host bi-weekly topic rounds if we have people to fill those in. So this is our November webinar with me, Dr. Tierra Price. I also organize BlackDVM Network, so that's why I'm on our Zoom. But our November webinar originally was going to be with another group, and things didn't work out. So instead of asking someone to fill in late notice, last minute, I said, you know what, I can do it. And we can talk about some of the things that I've encountered while starting and trying to organize BlackDVM Network. So it's kind of an easy thing to come up with content for, because I've made so many mistakes along the way. And I thought that we could at least get started by me sharing some of those, and hopefully that helps some other people along the way on whatever they're trying to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and we will get started. All right, so thumbs up or some type of reaction if you guys can see slides. Okay, cool. I'm getting some coming in. The only thing that I want to look at really quick is if someone tries to come in, but that's fine. I can't worry about that. All right, one more time. Okay, so slides are up. So again, this talk is about some of the lessons that I've learned. And maybe, you guys will look at these and say, oh, that was kind of silly. I can't believe you didn't know that. But in case, there's anything that anyone didn't know or maybe is going to encounter themselves, I just wanted to put that out there. So first off, I want to say it feels really good to not be giving a talk about diversity. That's kind of what's been happening in the last few months. And so it's nice to just talk about some things that we, that anyone can encounter, right? That we all may struggle with. So again, I just wanted to give this talk because I wish it was something that I had heard a few years ago. And really, the goal of this is to inspire, you guys on whatever ideas or projects you might be working on, whether that's like a business, an app, a veterinary practice, or, just any seemingly small idea. Hopefully it inspires you to take it to the next step and not be afraid to make mistakes or have those failures along the way. And I'm here to talk about my failures and shortcomings with the expectation that this will help you to overcome the same obstacles, or at least know that it's normal, right? That everyone encounters them. So just a quick outline of what we're going to talk about. Again, we're going to talk about why are we having this conversation anyway? I have 4 major lessons that I think really stood out on my journey, and how I navigated those, or how, I wish I had navigated those. And then maybe we'll, take questions at the end and discuss some things. So why am I, let's see if I can admit this person from the waiting room. Sorry, guys. Okay. So why am I sharing my failures, right? Well, we need to talk about this kind of stuff. And I think as veterinarians, veterinary professionals who might be type A, we don't generally feel comfortable with making mistakes, and let alone talking about them. So I just want to normalize failures, shortcomings, obstacles, right? And it's totally fine to encounter those. and we can definitely move past them. I also want you to know what you can expect, especially if your journey is similar to mine. And I don't want you to be blindsided by some of the things that I often was. And then I also want you to know that it's happened to so many other people, and that you shouldn't feel bad if it happens to you also, right? Like plenty of other people have experienced this struggle. And so hopefully this talk demonstrates that you can experience failure and still continue to push forward. And then lastly, I really want to normalize this type of transparency and to build an energy of ethos and helping others through being transparent. So, I don't want to just have this talk with one person each week on the phone. I really want to put it in writing and make it known, some of the things that happen or that we might encounter. So we will jump right in to lesson number 1, which is to get creative. Let's see if I can. Sorry, let's see. I'm gonna come out of this. Let someone in. Come back in. Okay, so lesson number 1. Get creative, and specifically get creative with how you solve the problem. So I'm implying that there's a problem because that's usually what our ideas and aspirations are made of. We're trying to solve a problem. And so I'm going to start with this photo of me in my first week of veterinary school. And so this was one of those like bar social nights where everyone goes out and tries to get to know each other. And it's really just like an awkward mixer of sorts. And, none of us know each other yet because it's the first week, but we're all trying to be friends because we know we have to spend the next 4 years together. Anyone that's in vet school, have you guys had these? Did you guys have these in vet school? Like reactions on the side if you did, or you can throw it in the chat. I don't know if that's normal for everyone to have like these first week mixers that are generally pretty awkward. So the people in this photo are very, very nice. And, I got to know them throughout vet school and I was friends with them, but I did, still feel like an outsider. And I often struggled with connecting with my classmates. And I wondered if that was going to be the rest of my journey. Am I not going to be able to connect with my classmates or my future colleagues? So again, I was super excited to meet them, but things didn't, feel quite right. And so here, as vet students and, being veterinary professionals, we know that there are many mental health, awarenesses and resources and things like that. So I said, I don't feel right. I'm going to tap into some of the mental health resources that I have. So I tried a lot of things. I saw the school counselor. I was, exercising, trying to eat right, participating in clubs and activities, talking to friends back home. I even tried to, try some new things, like some of the things that I hadn't tried before vet school: yoga, hiking, aerial yoga, again, mountains. I was in Blacksburg, Virginia. Beer, I went to beer festivals. That was really big in Southwestern Virginia. And meditation, journaling, all of these things. But I still felt exhausted all of the time. And I really felt like I did not belong or fit into the situation that I was in. And so when I started to realize that I was tired all the time, one of the things that I noticed was that I was one person when I was at school, and I was a slightly different version of myself when I was with my family or on the phone with family or friends from back home. And so this is a phenomenon called code switching, right? This is being one version of oneself at home or with family, but a slightly different version around colleagues. And a lot of people have done a lot of research around code switching. And a study done by the Pew Research Center in 2019 actually demonstrated that nearly half of Black college graduates said that they feel the need to change how they talk when they're around people of other races, and that this disproportionately affects younger college educated Black Americans. And so this is my tiny plug for why representation matters, right? So it shapes how minorities are viewed by society and how we view ourselves. And then it also causes the societal views that are taken from this lack of representation, they lead to unconscious biases and microaggressions. And so in here, this is where I was finding that this is what was wearing on my mental health, right? The lack of representation, the microaggressions, the unconscious biases, and the code switching. So, solutions, okay? This is what I tried to do. I said, you know what? I'm going to write a personal blog. I've seen people do that before, and I think it works, and I think it helps. I can raise awareness. I can show people what's going on and write about my feelings. That fell flat before it even launched. Like, I was not good at that. So next I said, okay, I'm going to try to meet with academic affairs, right? I'm going to see if they have any solutions. Let's see. I'm going to make sure that we have everyone. Okay. I'm going to meet with academic affairs and see if they have any solutions, anything that I can help them with. I even tried to come up with a resource for incoming Black veterinary students, like a little packet that would tell them how they can get around Blacksburg and some of the things that they can do. That didn't work. I was like, we tried to do that and it was like, okay, what are we going to do? As soon as Black students come in, like hand them this packet and single them out. And it was, again, a fail. And so then I said, okay, well, maybe I can get started with the Black Graduate Student Organization. And there I realized that the challenges between a Black veterinary student and a Black graduate student were very different. We had different schedules. Our mindsets were different because we were really working on two different types of schooling. And so I spent 2 years exploring these options and nothing really resonated with me. I didn't feel like I was solving my problem or solving the problem that I saw, which was lack of representation and, the mental health issues that were happening with myself. So of course, I'm on Instagram, we're all on Instagram, and I see pages like these, right? So Black Doctors Lounge, Project Diversify Medicine, Black Girl White Coat, and these are just a few. Like, there are so many pages out there like this. And for some reason, these pages always boosted my mood. I could just scroll down my feed, have something from one of these pages on there, and feel a little bit better. I enjoyed reading the stories of people they featured, and I could see that others were really feeling the same way as me in their profession. And so from there, I started the BlackDVM Network Instagram account. And so really the lesson behind this is that BlackDVM Network was just a tiny step to a towards a solution for a large, long-standing, and for me, very personal problem. And so, although it didn't look like other solutions that I saw, and it wasn't really fixing the big problem all at once, it was something that I knew I could do just for a step in the right direction. And so when we think about being creative with our solutions to the problems that we see, it doesn't always have to be, us tackling this huge problem that's so much bigger than us. Like, almost anything that we do towards a solution for that problem will probably be helpful. And I think that that was one of the lessons that I learned, you know, trying to have a personal blog and tackle all of diversity, or trying to build together resources and, you know, take in every other Black student that was coming into that school under my wing. It was just too much. And so starting the BlackDVM Network Instagram page really allowed me to, you know, grab some photos from people that were already on Instagram and say, hey, can I repost this? And it was, you know, just about one of the easiest things I've ever done. And so this quote reminds us of how big our tiny steps in the right direction can be. So it says, we are not helpless. We all have the ability to make this world a better place. We can start with small steps, one day at a time. So trying to bite off more than we can chew is usually the reason that we give up. And getting creative with our approach to solving certain problems, or our approach to our ideas, it allows us to do something that hasn't been done before. And if we stick with it, you know, we'll see the results in the long run. So that's lesson number one, right? Getting creative with how you're going to solve the problem and taking these small, tiny steps, right? Don't bite off more than you can chew, or, you know, too much. So number two is to think and make a plan. So one of the things that I did not do was I did not think about what BlackDVM Network was going to be after I made an Instagram page. I made the Instagram page and I was like, boom, I need pictures. I want to share people's stories. And I did not think past that. And so taking the time to reflect on your solution, right, what you're doing, and its true purpose is really, really going to help in the long run. It's going to give you some guidance, and it's going to give you a lot of direction in where you want to go and what you want to achieve. So, like I said, what was the purpose of BlackDVM Network? Like, what was I doing after I created this Instagram page? What was happening after that? And you know, soon the Instagram page led to a website with a directory, which then led to a membership model, which was nothing that I had ever thought of previously or beforehand. And I truly didn't even think about it, you know, as I was doing it. I was just saying, okay, this seems like the next logical step. And a lot of people had questions. They're like, is this for Black veterinarians? Is it for veterinary students? Is it for technicians? You know, what's going on? I had no idea what I was doing. I just wanted the Black veterinary students to know that there were Black veterinarians out there. But what was the point of creating this Instagram page? What was I really trying to create? And like I said, I hadn't thought out that far. And so after months and months and months of thinking, of finally thinking about what I wanted, I realized that I was really looking for a plan. I was looking for a community, and I was looking for a community with resources. And so once I figured that out, that helped me to move in the right direction to, you know, some of the activities and programming and what BlackDVM Network was going to look like. But before then, I was just totally lost. And so, famous quote from Benjamin Franklin, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And it's cliche, but it really holds true. And I saw that many, many times because I had no plan in place. I was just kind of you know, taking it as the day went on. So tips for planning. Something that I've learned about planning is that it's simple. It really is simple, but it's not easy. So when you're planning something out, there are so many variables. And I think that that's probably the hardest for people that are type A or people that want to have all of the answers at once, is that you don't have any of the answers and you're really just going on a whim and saying, well, here are the what ifs, and, you know, we'll follow those until we get something solid. So a few things that I like to do to help me sort through all of the variables and what ifs when I'm planning is to write down every idea. I just write down every idea that I have, and store it somewhere, you know, in a journal or in the notes section of my computer, because one, I need to get that stuff out of my head. There's like so many other things that I should probably be thinking about, aside from all of these crazy ideas that I have, but also it helps you to like eventually see all of these ideas on paper or in a Word document, and you'll start to be able to piece them together as the variables become more clear. The other tip for planning is to use your imagination. Like I said, there are so many variables. So sometimes you're like, I have no idea what this is going to lead to. Well, that's where you get creative and fill it in with whatever imagination that you have. And when you're using your imagination, always give yourself the best vision. You really won't have all the answers, but at least you'll be able to figure out what it is that you really, really want when you start to say, okay, in the most perfect ideal world, this is what would happen, right? And that helps you to get really clear about what your purpose is and what you're trying to do. And then lastly, plan out. So plan out as far as you can. Think about the next steps. So once this happens, then what's going to happen? Then what's going to happen? Then what's going to happen? Because sometimes you'll skip some steps along the way while you're planning. And then you'll realize, oh, wait, there's a gap here. This is what I need to go back in and fill. You know, this is the step that I missed, or this is something that I didn't think about. And this happens all the time, like when planning for events. there are so many things, and you really have to think that event from start to finish all the way through, so that you can make sure that you don't miss anything, right? You don't miss sending out the Zoom link. You don't miss getting in contact with the speaker again. You don't miss posting it on Instagram. There are so many things. So you really want to think about the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. Okay. So that's number 2, planning. That was really hard for me. So that's why I thought it was really important to talk about. Number 3 is patience. So you really have to be patient with yourself, your vision, and others. And so when we're talking about this, one thing that I like to reiterate is BlackDVM Network did not form overnight, in a month, or even in a year. The BlackDVM Network Instagram page was created in May of 2018. So we are 2.5, like, 2.5 years into this. And it's been a little while coming, right? 2.5 years is probably a tiny amount of time for some businesses, but as far as BlackDVM Network goes, it's still considered a new business, a new organization, but it is 2.5 years old. We didn't start in March, right? And so one thing that I think is something that I don't talk about enough, but is something that I would like to share, is this quick story. So back in November of 2019, I finally purchased the website and domain name for BlackDVM Network. We have been running on a free Wix site. So I decided to purchase it because I wanted to be more serious about it. That was on November 29th. And on December 2nd, I messaged 100 students and veterinarians. And this is not an exaggeration. Like, I literally messaged 100 people. That was my goal, and I hit it. I messaged 100 people, telling them about the BlackDVM Network Instagram page, about the new BlackDVM Network website, and what I was hoping to do with BlackDVM Network. I wanted to develop it into an organization from the Instagram page, develop it into an organization to reach more people. And so the message told everyone that I'd love for them to be a part of the community. And I was looking for people to be involved and contribute, or, even just like the Facebook page, visit the website, tell me what you think about it. From those 100 messages, that I had sent out, about 20 people replied saying, they were interested in being involved. So 20 people, that was still good to me. I wasn't even discouraged by that. I was like, yes, 20 people, that's 20% response. I'll take it. I was just happy that even, a few people responded. And they said, yes, they were interested in being involved and they would like to talk about different ideas. So I set up a Zoom link for this group of people to get together, to meet and exchange ideas. And that meeting was set for early January of 2020. And I was super excited about the Zoom meeting. I had made out an agenda. We're going to do introductions. We're going to tell a little bit about ourselves. We're going to be friends. It's going to be so fun. And so I logged into the Zoom meeting 15, 20 minutes beforehand, and no one was coming in. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And about 30 minutes into that scheduled Zoom meeting time, there was still no one there. And not a single person showed up for that Zoom meeting. And at that point, I don't know if I was having a bad week or what was going on, but I just started bawling my eyes out because I was like, what am I doing? Why am I even doing this? I can't get people involved. I can't do it by myself. And, I was so excited. I thought people were interested. Nothing's happening. And so I was really, really frustrated, and I had no idea why things weren't coming together. Like, why was this happening? And the real lesson behind that was that I needed to be patient, right? I was trying to move at light speed. And to be completely honest, I was still working in unfamiliar territory. I was starting a new organization. It was new, unfamiliar to everyone. No one else had any idea of what it was going to be, or if it was going to last, if they should invest their time in it or not. And being in that unfamiliar territory, it takes a lot of time to get out of. And so some of the things that I had to learn to be patient with was helping others understand what I was trying to do, helping others understand why BlackDVM Network could possibly be important, and how something that developed from an Instagram page can be impactful in the veterinary community, even though it doesn't have, initiatives laid out like everything else in the DEI industry. Why is BlackDVM Network even necessary? Why would you even do this? People had so many questions that I didn't realize that they weren't understanding. And most importantly, I didn't realize that I wasn't doing a good job of explaining. So again, that leads to trying to get others involved. It's a big curve. And I really needed to be patient. And I had to let, recognize within myself that it was my job to keep working on this, to keep sticking with it. And so, you have to be patient with yourself, right, on learning new things and making these mistakes and getting back up from them. You have to be patient with your vision as it develops and comes together and as people start to understand it. And then you have to be patient with others, how they're going to adopt to your idea, if they're going to actually take it in, if they're going to reject it, if maybe they need other people to hop on board before they actually hop on board. All of that really just takes a lot of patience. So lesson number 4 is building relationships, and most importantly, to build a team. So building these relationships to really have a team of people that you can trust. And why is this important? Because you need help. You definitely need help. And looking at this slide, and if I were to look, someone in the eye and be like, you need help, it might sound offensive. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm letting you know that you need help. Nothing is going to grow to its full potential with just you, right? You need at least an assistant, at least somebody to bounce ideas off of, a co-founder, a co-owner, a vice president, a secretary, a treasurer, whoever it is, whatever it is, even if it's just a support system of mentors, you need that help, and you need people to help you carry out your vision. And so building a team is actually really hard. And that was another thing that I was blindsided by, because everyone has their own obligations. Everyone is busy with all of the other things that they're trying to do. And sometimes you will form a team and it's not right. And you have to dissolve that team and form another team. You know, you're not always going to get it right on the first try. So one of the things that I had to learn was I had to be annoying. I mean, I'm sure that there are plenty of people that can open their messages right now and on GroupMe, Instagram, Facebook, text messages, emails, and see that I've emailed them like 4 or 5 times. And it's because you have to reach out multiple times. Don't be offended. Don't take it personal if someone doesn't respond the first time, or if they don't show up the first time, or if they get busy. It's up to you to be annoying and to let people know, I value your opinion. I value your perspective. I would love to hear from you. I would love to have your participation. And even though I understand that you're busy, you know, I'm going to keep trying for you, right? You're kind of like courting this person. It's like a nice little dance that you're doing. So reach out multiple times, reach out in different ways. If you've sent that email, forward that email, you know, 2 times to them and they haven't responded, maybe the approach is wrong. Maybe, you know, you're taking the wrong angle. Maybe you should ask them for something else. Maybe they would love to help, but what you're asking for isn't really their cup of tea. So maybe you just need to ask them, you know, what is it that you think you're good at that you could help with? What areas do you think would best suit you in helping with this idea? You know, what about this idea is important to you that you think, you know, would be the best way for you to be involved? So there's all these different ways that you can reach out to people, and all these different ways that you can see if they're interested in getting involved. Another thing is get to know new people. So there were plenty of people. I had friends from, you know, old programs that I knew would probably be so interested and love BlackDVM Network, and they loved the idea, but they were just not on board for helping out, building something from the ground up. They were busy. They had other obligations and other priorities. So I had to, you know, reach out to people on Instagram, other Black doctors, other Black vet students, other people, even outside of Black veterinary professionals that I could see were doing good work. And I had to introduce myself, get to know them, and say, hey, you know, this is what I'm doing. Is there any way that we can collaborate? What are some things that, you know, might be good? And really just expand, you know, my circle of people and the people that I trust. And then lastly, being open, right? Being open to people outside of our industry, being open to people that are doing maybe something with a slightly different angle, or maybe even people that are doing the same thing as you, and collaborating with them and seeing where that synergy lies. So you have to build a team. And in order to build a team, you have to build those relationships first. There's nothing worse than having like a team of like all these new people. No one trusts each other. You don't trust these people. You don't really know who they are. And you just threw something together really quickly because you needed help. You have to build the relationships to build the team, and you need a team. You need the help. So be annoying, like all those things. Build a team, build relationships, be annoying. And I promise it will be okay. So we kind of went through that quickly, but I wanted us to have time for like questions and discussions and talk about a few things. But just to recap, right, we talked about 4 things, 4 lessons. The first one, get creative. So take a different approach to the problem that you're trying to solve. And that might take a few rounds of thinking, right? Like a few rounds of coming up with ideas. Number 2, think. So get really clear about your purpose. Start to really reflect and internalize, why are you doing this? Why does this seem like a problem? And how are you contributing to the solution? Number 3, be patient with yourself, your vision and others, and stick with it. Like, do not let it go. One obstacle, one failure, one Zoom meeting that everyone like no one shows up to is totally fine, but you have to stick with it and you have to like overcome those obstacles. And then number 4 is to build relationships. Build a team. Don't try to do it alone. You will get so much more accomplished with a team of people. Okay, here we are at the end. That's the crash course of my top four my top 4 failures. There's like a laundry list of like 100, but those are my top 4.
So, Tierra, I have a question.
Yes.
So the Black medical doctors, like their organizations, have they been on board with what you've been doing with BlackDVM Network? Like, what has their involvement been or interest?
Yeah, so it's funny because part of the BlackDVM Network page, so before I actually started the BlackDVM Network page, I was gathering like photos and stories of people, and I was sending them to like Black Doctors Lounge. There's one called like Rasu Doctor, and they were very reluctant to post about veterinarians. So that was really what stemmed, like that was just the last like piece of the puzzle for me to be like, you know what, I'll just do it myself. Like, I'll feature the Black veterinarians. And one of the pages, when I was actually trying to get the screenshot for this presentation, I noticed that they listed like pharmacists, dentists, JDs, PhDs. Like, they made it very clear because I was very annoying in their DMs, like over and over again, like, you don't have any veterinarians on this page. And then they would go feature Dr. Joe Owens. And I'm like, there are more veterinarians than Black veterinarians than Joe Owens. But maybe I should try to collaborate with him again since we've kind of grown a little bit.
I think I appreciate just everything you said because this is exactly what I've been going through here at LSU. First, of course, the diversity talk constantly over and over again. It's like, okay, it's other things that we can be doing. But now I'm trying to get like collaborations with other professionals for the stuff I'm trying to do with what we're our goals, whatever. I'm trying to collaborate with like law schools and they're not really responding. I'm like, y'all, this can be big if we get like all Black professionals together, not just for vet med. Like, I want to see more of us in general in these positions. And going back to what you said about code switching too, because for me, like, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, so I have a certain culture about myself. But I feel like with that end of itself, that's showing representation from a broad spectrum. And I had this same conversation with so many people. Um, because we create, and I understand why it was needed at one point because we had to get in these positions. But now, 2020, there's no reason for code switching at this point because on both ends, at a professional level, you have people that don't necessarily, get around that culture, your culture like that. So you're kind of giving them a false impression of what your culture really is about. If you code switch and try to keep this imagery, if you're not, if that's not really you, I don't feel like you should do that. And then on the other end, you have these aspiring kids that's looking up to you, that's from your neighborhoods and stuff. So if they see you just being yourself in there, they're going to want to join in on these professions more. So that's why I'm kind of that anti code switching at this point. So literally everything that you said is everything I'm going through right now.
Well, that makes me happy to hear because I'm like, I don't know if it was just me, if I'm a little slow and I couldn't figure this stuff out at first. But it's nice to know that it happens everywhere. And code switching was really, that was the root of my problem those first couple years of vet school, and why I was so exhausted all the time, and why even when we took study breaks and we would go out and do stuff, I still felt like I didn't get a break because I was constantly on, right, when I was with them. And BlackDVM Network, that like, it's such an informal group because I don't want us to feel like we have to code switch. I don't want us to feel like we have to be professional because this is an association and we're professionals. Like, I want us to be friends. I want us to be family. I want us to be able to like breathe when we come to this space also. Because even when I would talk to my family, like especially my mom, she doesn't like animals. She doesn't like cats, dogs, nothing. And so trying to explain my vet school struggle to her, and like, yeah, I was in anatomy lab and I couldn't find the muscles, and she didn't want to hear about it. She's like, Tierra, I can't, like my stomach is too weak for this. Like, I literally cannot talk to you about this. And so I really was just like, oh my goodness, where are the people in my profession that I can connect with? So I think that code switching is, it's a barrier that we have to break down, but it also takes a lot of courage, right? Because you think that something really bad is going to happen if you are your authentic self. And for some people, that risk is not worth, being authentic in those moments.
Yeah, and to add on to that, because I broke it down this way as well. It's already in vet med, we are already seen as like, oh, we have to put on this persona, like, oh, we're happy go lucky all the time, and oh, fluffy animals. And it's like, in reality, we're going to do the same things everyone else is. So when we do that, that's already putting on that persona. And then when we code switch, that's an extra layer that we have to put on as well. So it's like, we have to figure out a way. I understand to a certain degree, we have to have that professionalism, but how do we get to that middle ground, I guess, is the next step, I guess.
Yeah. And redefining what professionalism is, right? Like,
Agreed.
braids are professional. Why is that a conversation? You know, I don't know. The
Yeah.
music I listen to is just as professional as the music that anyone else in the office wants to listen to.
Coming from an HBCU, I went to Hampton undergrad. And actually, when I was in high school, I knew that I wanted to go to an HBCU because I was like, I need 4 years of being around Black people, because I know that once I go to vet school, like, it ain't gonna happen. And I don't know if it was so much code switching, but it was a culture shock for me going from Hampton to Southwest Virginia. Um,
Yeah.
I looked around the classroom and I'm like, dang, it's 3 of us in a class of 90. And like, I didn't really go out on like those social outings, like to PKs or like B-dubs, like you know, all the places, downtown Blacksburg, because I was like, these aren't my people. Like, and I don't want to have to play that game. Like, that's not me, but then it can feel isolating. So like the 3 or 4 of us, we'd get together because that was like the only safe space we had to let our hair down, because we knew that we really couldn't, or we didn't feel comfortable, because we knew that they already had their perceptions about us. And most of us went to HBCUs. So I don't know if it was code switching, but it was definitely like you felt like you had to like not put on airs, but like almost be respectable.
Right. Yeah. And if
Um,
you're too much, if you're too Black, it's too, and I think
right.
that those are that feeling, because a lot of people will say, well, how do you know that people actually feel that way about you? That feeling is reinforced by microaggressions, right? Like, they say it. Like, oh, why do you always wear your hair in 2 buns? You look like such a cute little like girl when you wear your hair in 2 buns. I mean, the microaggressions are real and they reinforce those sentiments that we have.
Yeah, I remember there was one time that essentially that all of y'all look alike. Like, someone mistook me for one of the Black female vet students. She's like, I'm 5'4". She was like 5'10". Like, we didn't look anything alike. I'm like, y'all just really don't even care about trying to see us as different people. You just see our skin color and be like, well, all of you look the same. And it's like, nah,
No.
that ain't it.
Right. Not at all. Not at all. Let's see. I think that Dr. Johnson was writing some stuff in the chat. She said she's typing because her family's eating dinner. But she's having the same struggles with getting help. And she says, I know people are interested and will like and love my posts, but any sort of delegation or willingness to take on responsibility to help offset the load is hard. Yep. Yep. Delegation, willingness, like it's so hard. Dr. Johnson, what kind of things are you doing? Like, what are you looking for help with? What kind of organization are you running? Is this for your vet practice, or what is this for? And also, with these things, like when people talk about like finding help and stuff like that, we can definitely, go more in depth on finding help. Oh, cool.
Hey.
Hi.
Oh, I'm actually writing a veterinary children's book series right now.
Oh.
And so I'm actually kind of trying to establish that part and getting, more authentic representations of people of color in children's books, especially when it comes to medicine and veterinary medicine, because I think we all are dealing with the small proportions in our class. I, of course, want to expand that into something more. I've always liked working with kids and expanding their interest in veterinary medicine in a positive way, because even on Facebook, on the Young Black and Doctor Network, and a woman was asking about inspiration for 8-year-old in veterinary medicine, and you would be surprised how many negative responses there were, like, don't do it, like, dissuade her, tell her to go into medicine. And not saying that it's not good to be honest about, the high suicide rates and issues with wellness and work-life balance, but showing kids that you have to be confident, you have to advocate for yourself. If there's an issue in the profession, then you are the light that can change it, and instilling that in some way. And, and making people realize there's something outside of puppies and kittens in general medicine as well. So making that impact, and then maybe making training programs or something of the sort to help get kids slowly acclimated to making a difference in veterinary medicine in some way.
Gotcha. That's really cool. I love that idea. Yeah, it's so hard to find help. Like, I use Upwork a ton. My team is completely from Upwork. So, but I'm not sure that if you're looking for veterinary perspectives, then yeah, you would have to, grab some veterinarians and stuff like that.
What is Upwork?
Upwork is a platform for freelancers. And so you can ask people to literally do anything. Like, can you design this? They have virtual assistants. They have event planners. They have literally everything: marketing, social media. So you can get on Upwork and literally ask for anything. And people, will be willing to do it at a freelancer price. So it's kind of tough, but it helps. It definitely helps to at least get the ball rolling. And, that's another thing that I didn't talk about, but a big lesson is that even though BlackDVM Network is for veterinary professionals, right now, and I have a team of 5, none of them are veterinarians, like nothing. They're all outside of our industry, because I had to realize that I want people to value my education and what I feel like my expertise is in. And so I also have to give that same respect to someone else. I can't expect a veterinarian to be an administrative assistant, because administrative assistants are good at being administrative assistants, right? And so I need an administrative assistant for that. I need an event planner for that. I can't expect the veterinary, people from the veterinary community to be able to transfer their expertise into a whole other area that takes like professionals also.
Very true. When you've pestered people, what has worked for you? Has it been social media? Has it been emails? Has it been, pestering them for phone numbers so that you can call, or what has worked?
Yeah. So I think that really, when it comes to getting people on board, it has to be more about them. You have to kind of figure out, what are they good at? What are they willing to give? What are they willing to help out with. And so you really have to just talk to them and try to get to know them. And so what has helped me is I call and ask them, you know, what are some of the things that you do? Why are you interested in BlackDVM Network? And, you know, talk to them about their job, about some other things, you know, just getting to know them. And, you know, then they'll maybe say like, yeah, and I really love planning. Like, I'm not a visionary, but I love planning. And then I say, oh, that's really great. You know, I've been struggling because I've been struggling with planning. And they say, oh yeah, I'll help you with that. And then, you know, set up calls like to be held accountable, right? Like every 2 weeks where we're going to talk about planning. And that seems to work. And as long as you can find someone that's going to be like, you know, honest and stick with that system, then that'll help. I wouldn't run from someone that, you know, misses a call or stands you up for a meeting immediately. But like if it continues to happen, then yeah, it's like maybe you know, you have to move on. But definitely, you know, pestering them. I think getting someone on the phone is much easier than trying to get them to reply via email.
I had a question too, because it's something I'm going through. But how do you deal with burnout? Because I get to a point where I'm like, I have a lot of stuff planned, and I kind of like, let me just close my laptop and deal with it tomorrow or something, or not at all. I don't know. How do you deal with that?
So I got burnt out this summer in like July. I was up all night answering emails, DMs, like things were just flooding over. And I would just be up to like 3 a.m., like literally with tears in my eyes, like, hi, yes, we can schedule a call at such and such time, blah, blah, blah. And no worries, Allie. And so finally I was like, okay, I need to prioritize. And that was honestly, I was going to do 5 lessons because prioritizing and organization are the next biggest one for me. And I had to prioritize what's important in my life that like I'm not going to go without. So I'm not going to go without yoga. I'm not going to go without sleep. I'm not going to go without my job because I need that. So those are things that have to happen every day. And then what time do I have left over? And with that time, you know, what's most important for me to get done? So I can tell you right now that the notifications that pop up are not the most important. Those are the most urgent. And sometimes you kind of have to put those off and focus on what's really important. Like, you know, I try to work on a long-term project and then a short-term project at least once a week. Short-term projects probably get worked on every day. Long-term projects get worked on once a week. And then in the time that I have remaining is when I'll go answer emails. And I had to be okay with emails sitting in the inbox for 3 or 4 days because I could easily spend all of my time answering emails within 24 hours and then have like nothing to show for it, you know, because I'm answering emails about people asking me to do stuff that I don't really care about, right? Like someone's like, oh, can I talk to you about my raw dog food box subscription? Like, that's not something that I'm going to prioritize, right? Like that's not something that has to happen. And so just recently, someone asked me, they wanted to talk about, I think like disability insurance and a collab with BlackDVM Network on disability insurance. And he's like, yeah, we need to talk today. And he kept calling me and I'm like, I'm not available today. He's like, well, we need to talk this week. And I'm like, I'm not available. We're running into holiday season, Thanksgiving and then Christmas and, you know, end of the year closeouts and stuff. Like I'm not available until January. And he was so offended, but at the same time, it's like, I have to protect myself, right, from burnout. And I have to prioritize what's important to me and what's important to the mission that I've committed myself to.
Thank you so much for that.
I hope that helps. It's very scary and it can be seen as arrogant by some people, but you have to know that it's not arrogant. You're literally just protecting your well-being, like yourself. It's a survival tactic.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, the burnout is real. And especially I'm not sure, it seems like probably most of us kind of that are on this call have lots of ideas, right? And want to do a lot of things. And sometimes like that can create a lot of anxiety too, is just being full of excitement and ideas and wanting to do stuff. And so you really have to sit down and make a list and get clear on what you really want to do and what can wait and what actually isn't important at all. Right, Dr. Pendergrass is like unapologetic, which is how we should be. It's really how we should be. And one of the changes that I made, because I'm on the West Coast now, I was taking calls from 5 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Pacific time because I wanted to accommodate those on the East Coast. And I am an early bird, like I do wake up early in the morning, but it was too much to be on the phone for just my entire morning. Like I completely lost my morning routine because I was trying to be, take calls with people. And so that was just something that I cut out. And that was actually really tough for me because I felt really bad about it. Cause I'm like, well, if it's 5 a.m. for me, it's 8 a.m. for them. And that's a normal time. But it was wrecking my life. West Coast burnout. Yep. Does anyone else have?
So to add like your 8,000th idea, have you thought about a podcast?
Yeah, so it's funny. I've gotten a couple messages on LinkedIn about a podcast. And then Monday. Oh, that was yesterday, Monday. Someone was like, you need to start a podcast. I was like, no, like we can't do this. But I will say that I've looked into it and it's not that hard. And so if there is interest, like if people want a BlackDVM Network podcast, we can have a podcast and we can start with the Instagram Live interviews that we did from the summer because we have 40 of those. So yes, maybe.
I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, but I understand. And as a business owner, like I understand you can have a lot of plans, but you have to prioritize and like focus on what's important to you right now, because there's always going to be the next big idea or next good idea, but not to just keep on chasing shiny objects.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you have to follow through, right? Like everything's exciting when you first think about it, and the follow through process is just excruciating. Like the little details and the follow up and the hiccups and scheduling people and all the things. They're not shiny, but the new idea is always so shiny. So it's really easy to do. I get caught up in it all the time.
Tierra, this is Allie. Can I ask a quick question? Number one, I'm so sorry that I was late. Technology failed me. But I just heard Joanna say something, and when I first joined, I heard you say something, and you might have already covered this. So again, I apologize. But from a brand new association perspective, I'm struggling so much with people coming to me with all these great ideas. Like everybody's got the next greatest idea. And it's always the same thing. Hey, Allie, we should do blank. And then of course it's always me who winds up executing that. And they are all really good ideas, but I can't do everything. So how do you kind of navigate? I mean, they could all be priorities, and that's, I think, what's hard.
Yeah, that was something that I struggled with. And my approach to that, because that happened a lot this summer, especially when I had a team of veterinary students, everyone had such great ideas and everyone, contributed those ideas and told me about them. And so what I would say is when there were people working on the team and they had ideas, I would say, oh my, like, that's a good idea. Like, and I believed it, right? Like I thought it was a great idea. And then I'd say, I'm on board with that. I totally support it, and I'll support you in whatever way that you need to carry that idea out. So if you want to brainstorm, or if you want to talk about next steps, like we totally can do that. But I just tried to put the ball like in their court to get it started, so that hopefully they would realize that like I can't do it all. And sometimes ideas would fall flat because people are like, well, I don't have time to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have time to do it either. But, you know, like, let's keep that on the list. And hopefully at some point, you know, we can make it a priority.
Yeah, that's good. I think your advice is sage. It sounds like it's really just about leadership.
And it's like being a leader is hard. It's hard. And there are so many resources out there, but none of those, it's like being a parent, which I'm not a parent, so I really wouldn't know, but I can only imagine that it's like there's so many resources out there about being a mother or a father. And then you get in, you know, you're in the trenches and you're like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't, you know, this is still really hard.
Great. I appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Yeah. With which organization do you have? Are you on the telemedicine?
Yes.
association?
Yeah.
That's
BVCA.
what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I just looked into that.
I just thought, you know, so I saw what this webinar was about, and it just sounded like exactly where I needed to be.
Yeah. Well, we recorded it, so
Oh, great.
yeah, you can watch it because I know that you came in after the presentation was like kind of short, so and we were just talking after that. Cool. Well, I don't know if anyone else has questions or comments. If not, we can wrap up. But you know, there's no rush. It's only 5:05 on the West Coast. So if that's everything, you know, I want to thank you guys for having these discussions and talking about everything. It makes me feel better. You know, this level of vulnerability is like so scary, but you guys made it so much better for me to say like, oh yeah, I experience these things also. And of course, you know, feel free to reach out to BlackDVM Network, to me, whatever. BlackDVM Network does host monthly webinars. So our December webinar, I think, will be on like texting services to clients, I think maybe is what we're working on. So, you know, how can you text your clients for like better retention or something like that? And, you know, we're here every month. We also have bi-weekly topic rounds. Dr. Pendergrass, I think, is next up. She's going to talk about being a freelance veterinary medical writer, which is really cool. And we have a couple other ones, shelter medicine with, or One Health with Laura, and a couple other shelter medicine ones, you know, through the end of the year. So definitely check those out. Our events right now are open. So even if you're not a member, you can always RSVP and show up, pop in. But other than that, I think that's everything. Again, thank you guys for coming, and let us know if you need anything. Awesome. Bye, guys. Thank you guys so much.